Hey, this is Pizza Dude, man. Sorry for the lack of a subscriber questions video last week. On that note, subscriber question videos are starting next week going to be released on Sundays instead of Saturdays. That's just going to be easier for me schedule-wise as I get back into work. So let's finally get into the questions of what is now 2 weeks ago. Our first question is from Tale of the Toaster. Are you interested in playing a Zero Escape or Danganronpa game? I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, but Zero Escape I've heard a lot of, especially from my brother, and it seems very interesting. Danganronpa, I've actually played a little bit of the very first one, just a tiny amount, but I was into it, so I'd love to play more of it. Lord Genesect asks, if a Capcom character gets cut in the next SSB, do you think they'd cut one or both? I think they just cut one. I mean, Ryu was already DLC. I think Mega Man is obviously the bigger priority. So if they were going to cut one or both, I think they would just cut Ryu. Ridley Craig has a follow-up to this question. Who do you think will be cut, Mega Man or Ryu, which I just answered? And if we had to add a third Capcom rep, who would you choose and why? Phoenix Wright. I love Phoenix Wright. Phoenix Wright's one of my favorite video game series there is. There'd be so much to add. We've seen Phoenix Wright as a fighting game character already in Marvel vs. Capcom. There's a lot of great Phoenix Wright music. I'd love to fight to in Super Smash Bros. And Phoenix Wright is a Capcom character with what is now a fairly long-running series that's almost exclusively to Nintendo. So I think it makes a lot of sense to add Phoenix Wright. Super Mario Fan 03 asks, do you think Marvel and Star Wars should be added in Kingdom Hearts 3? Totally. I mean, these are two great universes with a lot of potential that are owned by Disney, so why not add those into Kingdom Hearts? Can you imagine how awesome that would be? Like, having Sora going through Star Wars or going through, like, the plot of Avengers or something? That would be amazing. Musumania 27 asks, what do you think of Hyrule Warriors Impa being in Smash 5? The first thing is, Impa as a character herself makes a lot of sense when you're looking at Legend of Zelda characters with a long-standing importance. I mean, after Link, Zelda, and Ganondorf, Impa is one of the characters that kind of like reincarnates and has like several iterations. I mean, in a metaphorical sense with the reincarnating. And we see Impa in kind of the same recurring role as being Zelda's caretakers, just in different capacities. And to that end, the big thing that people used against Impa was that, well, we already have Sheik, so what would she do differently? And Hyrule Warriors gives us that clear indication, because Impa and Sheik are completely different characters in Hyrule Warriors. So if you're going to add Impa in Super Smash Bros., I think that makes a lot of sense, purely so that you're differentiating her from Sheik. On that note, I still think that there are other Legend of Zelda characters in general that would be more interesting to add than Impa, and who I think also have bigger fan bases than Impa. But going back on that, I would just be happy to see new Legend of Zelda characters in Super Smash Bros. In general, because it's been a long time since we've had a Zelda newcomer in Smash Bros. 8-Bit Die asks, if Nintendo's next console was a straightforward one, like the Xbox or PlayStation with advanced specs to keep up with them with no crazy features Nintendo consoles usually have now, would you be disappointed they didn't innovate, or glad they played it safe and broke their cycle of less advanced, innovative consoles? Would you think it would be healthy for them to do that and join the other two? Honestly, I don't have a strong opinion either way, because for me, the seller for Nintendo is their exclusive games. I could care less about if it has the most advanced specs or if it has some really cool gimmick, as long as I'm able to play Mario, Zelda, Pokémon, Mario Kart, and Smash Brothers. You know what I mean? And I think that's where a lot of fans stand too. Now, maybe that stuff could be enhanced by more advanced graphics. And on the other hand, maybe that stuff is already being advanced by the gimmicks. Maybe it's really, really great to have motion controls in Zelda games. That's more of a matter of opinion. As far as me personally, I could care less as long as I'm able to play those games. I know that's kind of a wishy-washy answer, but that's where I stand on there. I guess to ultimately answer your question, I would not be disappointed if they didn't innovate with their console, nor do I think it would be especially beneficial to them to join the PlayStation and Xbox path. Not that that would be bad for them, but I just don't think that's what people are buying Nintendo consoles for in the first place. I don't think you're going to convince somebody who already prefers PlayStation and Xbox to go for Nintendo purely because they've become like PlayStation and Xbox. Maybe I'm wrong about that, but that's where I stand. The Smashmaster 9000 asks, what do you think about Rauru being in Hyrule Warriors and fight using his owl form and light-based attacks? I mean, hey, why not? I'd love to see all the sages of Ocarina of Time become playable. So I know I've talked about Nabooru a lot, but we are missing Rauru too. And hey, it makes just as much sense as having the King of Hyrule playable from Wind Waker, which they do. Musomania27 asks, Rowlet, Litten, or Poplio? Rowlet for me. I like Rowlet. Mactokong asks, if someone showed you the Smash 4 roster plus DLC back when you were doing roster vids, would you have thought they were crazy? Oh boy, what a question. I would have said that Bowser Jr. is a logical, sensical new Mario edition. I would have said Rosalina was unique, but maybe not quite important enough yet. I would have said Little Mac is an awesome addition. I would have said splitting Zelda into Sheik into two characters makes sense. Same with Samus and Zero Suit Samus. I would have said Palutena, kind of like Rosalina, is an interesting character choice, but he doesn't really need it. Especially, you don't really need a second Kid Icarus character. I would have said Robin was a good choice. That, you know, while I think Chrom is more likely, that Robin makes a lot of sense. I would have said the Duck Hunt dog would be a unique addition, but I'm really not sure what you would do with his moveset. That would be really great. I would have asked why you got rid of Wolf. I wouldn't see a point in that. I would have said Greninja might work as the new Pokemon rep. I'd be like, I don't know why you'd pick Greninja over everyone else, but I guess that works. I'm a bigger fan of some of these other ones, but, I mean, Greninja makes as much sense as anything else. I would have questioned why Lucas has been cut. I would have been like, why on earth would you get rid of Lucas? I would have thought the addition of the Wii Fit trainer was very strange. I would have said that Shulk was a cool and interesting addition. I would have asked what would be the point of bringing back Dr. Mario. Why on earth would you make Dark Pit his own character? And why would you have both Lucina and Robin, but no Chrom? That's really weird, and a lot of Fire Emblem characters. I would have said Pac-Man was made sense as an addition, but I don't think would have been super interesting. I would have thought Mega Man was a great addition. And then getting into the DLC characters, first of all, I would have said, way back when I was first doing roster critiques, I would have said that DLC was not very likely. Now keep in mind, that was before Fire Emblem Awakening DLC was a thing, and then Nintendo got on track with the DLC. So that was before DLC was really like a regular thing. You know, it was when it was kind of a regular thing in some games, but not an expected thing. By the time that Super Smash Bros. Was getting, you know, on board, DLC was just kind of an expected thing in video games in general now. So if I'm looking a little more ahead when DLC was a little more regular, I would have said Mewtwo makes sense as an important Pokemon that was a veteran to Smash Brothers. I would have said that Lucas made sense. We would have questioned why on earth you're bringing back Roy when we already have 4 Fire Emblem characters. I would have thought Ryu, it was interesting. It's like, I mean, I love Street Fighter, and I love the idea of Ryu being in every fighting game there is, but I would have been like, don't we already have Mega Man? Do we really want to have another Capcom character? But I would have liked the concept, though. I would have said Cloud is very unlikely, but I would love to see it happen. I would have said Corrin. I mean, that's tough because, like, Fire Emblem Fates wasn't even a thing back then. But if I knew it was a thing, it was this upcoming Fire Emblem game, I would have said, yeah, I can see that happening, kind of like how they add a new Pokemon. Except for the fact that you have all these other Fire Emblem characters. You need to cut down on your Fire Emblem characters. You have too many. And I would have said that Bayonetta, while she could be an interesting newcomer, is maybe not the biggest icon yet. Which is funny because she was fan voted in. I would have said the Miis make sense, but they're just not that exciting to me. So in short, no, I don't think I would have thought they were crazy. There would just be a few things I question, like why cut Wolf? Are Palutena and Rosalina really all that great? And holy shit, you need to cut back on the number of Fire Emblem characters. But I think I would have said it was a workable roster, just with a few ideas that are a little out there. Big Boss Man 538 asks, what's your opinion on Christians who judge others based on the video games they play? Okay, well, I don't want to judge the people themselves, but anyone, Christian or not, who is judging people on the video games they play, it's irrelevant. You're judging people on a harmless hobby. It's like if you're going to judge people on the books they read, judge people on the movies they watch, judge people on the TV shows they watch, judge people on the sports they play, judge people, you know, I think you have a right to judge people who are like going out and bullying or killing or stealing or, you know, things that are directly harmful to someone. If you're going to judge someone based on the video games they play, they have just as much right to judge you on any activity, on any harmless activity that you're doing. It's bullshit. Waffles the Apprentice asks, if Nintendo was to make another Dynasty Warrior style game, which Nintendo franchise would you like to see in that style? Fire Emblem, totally. Totally Fire Emblem. Oh, no question. Bobby Lopez asks, what Pokemon would you like to see get changes in Sun and Moon? What types would you want them to be? Well, I don't think there's a point in doing type changes yet because there's no new types. Like, there's not like a new fairy type when they changed, like, you know, a lot of Pokemon's type to fairy because there was a new type to add. I guess the closest thing we have right now are the Alolan forms, which are changing the types of Pokemon. Now, if I was to talk about Pokemon that already exist that I think should have type changes, I've never understood why Volbeat and Illumis are bug type and not bug lightning type. I mean, you have lightning bugs. Here's a great opportunity for you to have bug lightning types, and you didn't take it. Or bug fire types, as like, oh, you could call them fireflies. Why did you not do that? The other one that I thought was just a missed opportunity was the Goomy line, Goomy, Sliggoo, and Goodra. I thought that would have been a great opportunity to have a bug dragon type. Because, I mean, I know that slugs are technically not bugs, but, I mean, you could stretch it enough to call them that. And I think that would have been a great opportunity for a bug dragon type. I mean, now if you're going to do a bug dragon type in the future, why would it not be the dragon slug thing you already made? I guess you could make another dragonfly who's like dragon bug type. But besides that, I don't really have any great ideas for type changes. Like I said, unless you're adding a new type. As far as that goes, I actually did come up with my own typing called the sound type, where all of the sound base moves go under, you know, like Screech, Growl, Boom Burst, Sonic Boom, Supersonic. Those would all be sound type moves. And then the Whismur family would all become sound types. The Jigglypuff family would be dual fairy type sound type. Maybe you could throw in sound type to the Wyvern family, but it gets kind of tricky there. So kind of roundabout answers to your question. Sorry about that, but that's what I've got for that. PSP123 asks, going off my question from last week, which is now 3 weeks ago, wouldn't it be a good idea to make the DLC characters in the game from the get-go? Yeah, that makes sense. You're talking about making the DLC characters of this game characters right off the bat, and then they have new DLC characters beyond that. Yeah, that makes sense. It just means that it's going to take a lot more production time to make all the characters who were DLC last time to be playable right off the bat this time. Ultrakin asks, if there was a Punch-Out movie, which actor would you be fine with as Doc Lewis between Eddie Murphy, Bill Cosby, Denzel Washington, or Blair Underwood? By process of elimination, Blair Underwood. I don't think Eddie Murphy fits Doc Lewis all that well. I don't think Bill Cosby is a viable option right now. I don't think Denzel Washington fits Doc Lewis very well. I think Blair Underwood could pull it off. At least, I think he'd pull it off the best between Denzel Washington and Eddie Murphy. So, there's where I stand with Doc Lewis casting. I'm going to go on a little bit longer this time since I missed last week. So here's another question from 8-Bit Die. How would you feel about giving Ganondorf a new moveset in Smash 5 and giving his old moveset to Black Shadow from F-Zero with a few changes and unique features? This is an idea I've heard for a very, very long time, because you have fans who are upset that Ganondorf does not fight like Ganondorf in Zelda games, but other fans who would be upset if Ganondorf changed dramatically in Smash Brothers for gameplay reasons. So then what you do is you make Black Shadow from F-Zero playable, give him Ganondorf's old moveset so that playstyle is there, and then give Ganondorf a brand new one to please the Zelda fans. And I think that's workable. On a personal basis, I think that makes a lot of sense. I don't know if they would actually do it for the sake of tradition, but maybe they would. Me personally, how do I feel about it? I feel pretty good about it. Here's another question from the Smashmaster 9000. How about the old man from Zelda 1 for Hyrule Warriors using his flames? I mean, I don't see why not. I think it'd be a great, surprise character. Ridley Crate 187 asks, thoughts on Gravity Falls and Steven Universe? Who are your favorite characters? I really like both of those shows. If I had to pick one over the other, I think I like Steven Universe a little more, just because of the depth of it and the musicality of it. Gravity Falls has a lot going for it too, with all the mysteries and the depth as well. But, oh my gosh, they're both fantastic shows, to be quite honest. As far as favorite characters go, I would say Grunkle Stan for Gravity Falls, and Garnet and Peridot for Steven Universe. Here's another one from Bobby Lopez. Do you like grilled chicken on your pizza? Yes. There are very few meats I can think of that regularly go in a pizza that I don't like. Maybe anchovy and linguiça, and that's about it. PSP123 asks, if the leaked Archer-like form ends up being the final evolution of Rowlet from Pokemon Sun and Moon, what do you think of that Pokemon as a Smash character? So what that is there's this leaked picture of Rowlet's final form, and it looks like an upright Archer character. If that was the final form of Rowlet in Sun and Moon, I think that'd be an excellent new Super Smash Bros. Character, to be honest. It gives us finally a Grass-type Pokemon starter. It gives us something from Sun and Moon to be playable, and I think it gives us something of a unique moveset. We have Archers with Pit and Link, but I think there's still more you can do with that, especially if you're including that with a Grass-type starter Pokemon. So I think that'd be awesome. Ultra Caden asks, any advice for someone who wants to make comics? This is more up of Rosie's alley, but if I had to give an answer based on Rosie does, just do it. Start drawing your comics, upload them, and start posting them somewhere. I mean, there's websites like Tumblr where anyone can post anything, or if you want something a little more personalized, Wix is really great for making your own free website where you can upload whatever you want. So that's what I would say. Here's another one from Ridley Craig. Favorite game show and favorite host of that game show? Without a doubt, Family Feud with Steve Harvey. Steve Harvey is what makes that show. Oh my gosh, so wonderful. 8-Bit Die asks, since Diamond Pearl is the next Pokemon game to be remade, what do you think the chances of seeing one of their fully evolved starters in Smash 5 are? Which one would you pick? Honestly, I'd still say chances are low. We've never seen one of those remade Pokemon get made into a Smash Brothers characters, right? We've never seen, we didn't see an Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire Pokemon. We didn't see a Heart Gold Soul Silver Pokemon. So I'm guessing that, a Diamond Pearl Pokemon would be unlikely, especially since we already have Lucario playable in the roster. But if I did get to pick a 4th-gen starter to be in the Smash Brothers roster, I suppose I'd go with Torterra as, a successor to Ivysaur. Bobby Lopez asks, what's your favorite non-Nintendo video game franchise? Mass Effect. Love Mass Effect. Ultra Caden asks, who is your favorite gym leader? It's funny, there's been so many wonderful gym leaders, but my favorite's actually from the newest gen, from 6th gen. It's Wulfric. I really like Wulfric. Alright, I think this is going to be the last question. It's one last one from Ultra Caden. What snake codec call would you give your main Little Mac? I think that'd be cool if it started off with, either the Colonel or with Otakon saying something like, Snake, that's Little Mac. And then Snake knowing and actually explaining it to the other person, being like, I know, he's the newest champion of the World Video Boxing Association, right? I've seen him all over the news. This great underdog boxing champion. I can't wait, I get to fight him. And then, like, Snake is the one who gives all the information about Little Mac because he's, like, already aware. But that's just what I came up with at the top of my head. And with that, we're going to end the video right here. So make sure you send me more questions for next week. I will definitely have it next week, but it's going to be on Sundays instead of Saturdays. So I will see you then.